Hey, this is Rob Travels with Dottie, and I have another Quartzsite video because my last one was popular, and I got to thinking there may be many of you out there this summer watching YouTube videos, dreaming about the RV life, maybe the full-time RV life, and you wonder, should I go to Quartzsite? Should I check that out? Because I hear a lot about it. So I want to give you 10 things that you really should know about Quartzsite before going, and 10 things that you'll be glad that you know before you go. And here they are. Number one is Quartzsite, Arizona is a small town in Arizona, only less than maybe 20-25 minutes from the California border off Interstate 10. It's a small town of less than 2,400 people right in the middle of the desert. And here's the first amazing thing. That population goes from 2,400 to, some say, over 1 million visitors in December and January of each winter. Yes, that's amazing. And you think, how can that many people fit in a little tiny town? Well, they don't. Most of them visit to run errands and for entertainment, but the vast majority of these RVers do what they call boondocking out in the desert. Boondocking is you're camping without the benefit of electrical hookups or water hookups or sewer. So most of it is boondocking. And in a second, I'll talk about where to go and how to do that. But if you're not interested in doing that, or if that scares you, this little town has over 50, yeah, you heard me right, 50 RV parks in the city limits. I haven't counted them, but multiple sources have told me over 50, and I guess I can believe it because every side street you run down, you'll find an RV park somewhere. So, and they're all very inexpensive. There are no, at this point, luxury RV parks in Quartzsite, but you can find an RV park. Boondocking though, it's all federal land, maintained by the Bureau of Land Management, and that's BLM land, and you'll hear that phrase a lot. In general, BLM land, you can stay on BLM land for free for up to 14 days. Then you have to move like at least 20 miles away, and then you can stay another 14 days. There's usually a camp host in each designated area, and they'll give you a little sticker or a piece of paper that you can put on your rig that shows the date that you got there and by implication the date that you need to leave. There's an alternative though. They've designated a number of areas in Quartzsite and down near Yuma and in areas of Southern California as long-term visitor areas. And those are referred to as LTVAs. And there are 4 of them in Quartzsite off 95, Highway 95 south of town. Now, what's different about these? You can't stay for free. If you stay for 14 days, it'll cost you $40. However, the great deal for people like me is for the whole season, it's $180, and that season runs from September 15th through April 15th. And what do you get for your $40 for 2 weeks or your $180 for the season? Well, you get access to dumpsters for trash, access to fresh water to fill your tanks, and a place to dump your waste, a dump station for your black and gray tank. That's regular BLM land doesn't have that. You need to go into town, pull your rig into town to fill it up with water and to dump your tanks. So it's worth it. I stay at La Posa South, which is across the street from La Posa Tyson Wash. La Posa Tyson Wash. And La Posa simply means in Old Spanish, a place to stay. And all of the LTVAs are called La Posa and then the proper name. And the fact that you now know that La Posa means in Old Spanish, a place to stay, you can win some bar bets probably in Quartzsite because not many people know that. I just happened to look it up. So this is kind of, I know we're only on number 2, but it's kind of a big topic. There are no designated camping sites in any of these options that I've given you, the BLM land, regular BLM, or LTVA. It's all open desert. And there are only really two proximity rules. One is you can't be closer than 15 feet to somebody else. And there's really no reason for it. There's way more room than there are rigs, even with 1 million people visiting. The other thing is that if you have a rig that doesn't have a black tank, meaning a waste tank, like a van that doesn't have one, or you're in a tent, in a car, you have to be within 500 feet of a pit toilet. And the LTVAs have pit toilets everywhere. It's not a problem to find one. And it kind of makes for an instant little community. The people that have to park like that, you've got people to camp with right away. And that's the other thing, deciding, well, where do I go? Where do I camp if there's no designated place? And the answer is you can camp anywhere you want. But if you want to be totally by yourself, then skip ahead, because this next part isn't going to mean anything to you. But if you're like me and you want to be around people, you want to be with a group. There are a couple of semi-formal groups, because you can't really do a formal group on this land, but they're sort of semi-formal groups. There are 2 of them that I'm aware of, both of which have Facebook pages. I'll put them down in the description, and you can find out all about them. And both of these groups are totally open groups. Anyone can come camp with them, and they're both, trust me, I've been to both of these camps, and they're great. The other thing that you can do is when you're driving around the desert and there's kind of these makeshift roads, and you're driving by groups of people camping together and there are people standing outside, you can stop, roll down your window and say, hey, any idea where somebody like me could camp? I'm new here. This is my first time. And usually they'll be very gracious. And they may have specific suggestions, go over here, go over there. But what they might say is, come on, camp with us. That's what we're looking for. So you may try that 2 or 3 times, and I bet you hit on somebody saying, you're welcome right here. Just park over there and we'll help you out. That's what the culture is like out there. As soon as you drive onto one of these pieces of property out in the desert, the BLM land or the LTVA, you're automatically inducted to the club. And it's a wonderful feeling and really wonderful folks. All right, on to number 3. You know what? I already told you number 3. I didn't realize it. I was going to say there are 50 plus RV parks in Quartzsite, and they're easy to find. They're all inexpensive, and I think they're all safe. I've never heard about any crime problems or anything in any of the RV parks. And number 4, where do I get my stuff? It's a little town. Okay, well, I love this part. There are 2 grocery stores, locally owned grocery stores. One is called the Coyote and the other one's called Roadrunner. And there's a really good reason why. It's not a coincidence that it's the Coyote and the Roadrunner. There's a great story about that. And by the way, if you want way more detail about Quartzsite than this video, go to my channel. Subscribe though. You'll just subscribe. It doesn't cost anything. Hit the subscribe button. You'll see more of my videos. But if you go to my video channel and you go to the playlist and you see the Quartzsite 2022-2023 season, there are 50 videos on there on all kinds of Quartzsite topics, reviews of restaurants, all kinds of things, instructional things, things to do, things to see. And there's a tour of both these grocery stores, and at one point I interview a relative of one of the owners, and he tells the origin story of the naming of the competing grocery stores, the Coyote and the Roadrunner. So, do that. So, people do complain. They're small grocery stores, the selections are low, and people say the prices are high. Okay, the reality is, they're a little higher than a Safeway or an Albertsons or whatever you're used to. Of course they are. It's a small town. It's a small business. But the quality is very high. In particular, both these, the Coyote and the Roadrunner, have really great meat, and I've never heard complaints about their produce. They're small, they're little tiny shopping carts because they're too small for big shopping carts. So you'll be spending more money than you're used to. But I have a solution for that I've done multiple times. I buy certain things at Coyote, or I go back and forth because I both like them equally. But then there's a way to save money because there are 2 discount grocery outlets in town. And what do I mean by that? These are private businesses that buy pallets of grocery dry goods, right? Not meats and vegetables or things that spoil, but things like, peanuts and crackers and cereal, mostly boxed stuff, but some canned, that have expiration dates. And most everything is expired in the current year, so there's deep discounts, and you don't really have to worry about expiration dates on dry goods, especially expiration dates that are in the same year that you're in. You just don't need to worry. The only potential risk is maybe in taste, but I've never noticed a difference. But I'll give you a really good example of how you can save a lot of money. Boxed cereal, if you're not familiar with current prices in the grocery store, you can easily pay $6.50 to $7 for just a box of Cheerios, right? Outrageous, right? But an expired box of Cheerios that expired last month will cost you $2 in these discount groceries. So you save $5.50, $6 on one item. So you can imagine I do as many dry goods as I can in these discount grocers, and my savings offset the little bit higher price than I'm paying in those 2 grocery stores. So you can absolutely do that. There's one pharmacy in town. It's a little hard to find. It's on Main Street, Main near Central, and they have kind of funky hours. And restaurants. What would you think about the kind of town I described, or what kind of restaurants would be there? Well, let me tell you some pretty damn good restaurants. And probably the best known one and the most famous one is Silly Al's Pizza. And they're across the street from Dorothy's Ice Cream, which is pretty damn good ice cream too. But Silly Al's Pizza has great pizza. Big pizzas like in the low $22, I think, or $23. I've forgotten, right around there. During peak season, there's usually a long wait, but it's worth it. Really good pizza. There's another pizza place in town. I can't think of the name right now, but if you go to my playlist, you're going to find reviews on Silly Al's and the other pizza place and all sorts of other restaurants. There's a lot of good eating in Quartzsite. You're going to enjoy it. And the yacht club, yeah, there's a lot. Yacht club in the desert has, like, I'm neutral on the food. It's not terrible, it's not great, it's typical American fare, but it's a fun place to go. It's a bar, kind of a nightclub. They do karaoke at night, and it's a pretty lively place. It's nice nightlife in the desert. Okay, that brings us to number 6. There are multiple. There's at least three truck stops, probably a half a dozen gas stations, plenty of places. There are mechanics. There's a tire shop. There's plenty of ways to get help with your vehicle. Let's see, what else do we have here with number 6? Oh, laundry. There are several laundromats, 3 or 4, I think, at last count. The big one is Main Street Laundry. It's large, and they also have showers there. $10 for a nice hot shower. I've done it several times. So sorry about the barking dog. RV supplies are there, especially in December and January. They're everywhere. There's a big RV store, and there's several smaller operations around where you'll find there are plenty of places you can get parts and help with your RV. And there's also 2 reputable companies that do RV solar bills and discount solar. I've done business with both of them. They'll sell you equipment, and they will also, more importantly, they're real licensed electricians, and they will install equipment, solar equipment and a solar system on your rig. I highly recommend both these companies. Number 6, Tyson Wells and the RV Show. Tyson Wells is a part of Quartzsite that is owned by one family, and the majority of it is, there's not only an RV park and sort of a storage place, but there is an enormous field for, basically it's a giant flea market. Tents go up and vendors come in and they sell everything from all kinds of food to kitchen supplies to hardware to art to gems, and there's a whole nother thing. There's a whole rock and gem show that happens in I think it's January, and it's pretty fascinating. But you could spend days going through all these tents and all these different unique vendors. It's a lot of fun. And included on the same property every January, starting the 3rd week in January, is the RV show. And the RV show is under a ginormous tent that is several football fields long and a couple football fields wide, and it's supposed to be the biggest in the country. I don't know if it really is, but it's definitely a contender. And vendors and RV people come, RV dealerships come from all over the country, and they're there for, I believe, 10 days, and it's a pretty exciting thing to see. Even if you don't buy anything, I don't buy anything, but I usually don't buy anything. I haven't made any major purchases there ever, but I go there to eat the food and people watch and look at the latest and greatest in RVs and RV gadgets. And also, if you're looking for work, if you're a full-time RVer or want to start working on the road, there are people there that can sign you up for a job on the spot, whether it's camp hosting or working for the beet harvest. And I think Amazon, I'm not sure whether they're going to be there this year, but I think they've been there in past years. But they're definitely places that can sign you up for work right away. And obviously, you want to go early. You don't want to go on the 10th day. You want to go on the 1st or 2nd day. So there's jobs available if that's what you're looking for. It starts the 3rd week in January, and it's a pretty exciting time. So number 7, I believe, look at my notes here, but it's the RTR, the Rubber Tramp Rendezvous. And if you've never heard of that, you haven't been watching enough RV videos, because the Rubber Tramp Rendezvous is the brainchild of Bob Wells, who is sort of the godfather of living on the road. And he has if you're not familiar with him, Cheap RV Living is his website. He started a nonprofit called Homes on Wheels Alliance, and there's like a little convention that happens in the center, in the town park in Quartzsite for 5 days, in the days leading up to the big RV show. So you can do both. You can do RTR when that's over. You can do the big tent. And what is that about? It's about presentations and from other nomads that have knowledge to share with you on every topic that you could think of that pertains to living on the road. And of course, Bob Wells will be the keynote speaker, and he's always fascinating to listen to, trust me. He's fantastic. And there's all kinds of things going on, but you know what the most important one is? Connection to a community. The people at the RTR are the heart of the nomad, homes on wheels, nomad van life environment. It's the center of the culture, and you will meet people, and I've met people through the RTR that I know they're going to be lifelong friends. So that's the important part of that. It's totally free. It doesn't cost anything, and it's an incredible, valuable resource. Number 8, you want to know about, I've told you about local resources to get stuff, but there are cities nearby that have more. There's Blythe, California. You go west on Interstate 10, and in about 25 minutes, you're going to cross the California border and you're going to hit Blythe, California. And there is an Albertsons there. There's a Rite Aid pharmacy. And hardware store, lots of other things. So you can go to Blythe. You can go north on 95 for about 50 minutes or 55 minutes. You're going to find yourself in Parker, Arizona, where there's a Walmart. If you're a Walmart person, you got to get to a Walmart. There's a Walmart there. Across the street, there's the Safeway. And that's 55 minutes, an hour away. Number 9, I did this separately. It is another city, but there's a unique thing about it that gets me really excited. Yuma, Arizona is a little over an hour going south on 95, okay? So Parker is going north on 95, you go east or west on I-10 for Blythe, and you go south on 95 from Quartzsite to go to Yuma. Now Yuma's bigger than the other two. They've got more than one Walmart. That gives you an idea about how big they are. All sorts of restaurants, Home Depot, everything you could probably think of or want is in Yuma. But that's not the exciting part. The exciting part is what's not far from Yuma. That's Algodones, Mexico, right? So to get to Algodones, you can drive to Algodones, but nobody I know does. There's a parking lot. You pay like, I don't know, $4 or $7 or something for the day. You park in the parking lot and you walk across the border. And as you walk across the border, you're right in this little village of Algodones. What's special about Algodones? One is, if you're worried about what's in the news, it's totally safe. Lots of police. I've seen National Guard there. This whole town is devoted to serving products and services to Americans. And the last thing that they want is a single story of an American being robbed, hurt, anything like that. So they bend over backwards to make sure it's safe. And you don't go far. It's only a few square blocks. But in these few square blocks is the highest per capita concentration of dentists in the entire planet. And yes, I get all my dental work done there because it's so affordable. Let me tell you the last big one. Last year it had been, shame on me, too long, and I had 2 crowns that had fallen out, and I needed 2 root canals, and the tooth between the 2 needed to be extracted, and I needed 2 root canals, a crown between them. So they built a bridge and put that on, took out one of my wisdom teeth, extracted the wisdom tooth, and I had 7 cavities that needed to be filled, plus they did a cleaning. I want you to guess how much that cost me. How about guessing how much that would have cost me in the United States? We're talking 5 figures. We're talking right around $10,000. It was $1,400. And great work right there. And there's a year guarantee on the work. So first thing I'll do when I go down this winter is shoot on down there, have them check everything out just to make sure nothing's going wrong. Also, optometrists, they're everywhere. These glasses. This is everything, every extra except for transition lenses. I have a different one, a pair that I got transition lenses on, but $100, you know, and that would be, if you really shopped around, maybe $300 or $400 in the States, more like $600 or $700. And they make it within a couple hours. Amazing food, amazing mix for cheap, 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 cheap. Everything's cheap. They want those American dollars. Everything's very inexpensive. And the people, without exception, are wonderful and friendly. And I probably, last season, probably went down there 8 or 9 times with friends. It's so much fun. And it's fun saving money, too, on dental work and glasses. And it's a wonderful thing. So that's Algodones. And, of course, if you go to my channel, there's information and videos on Algodones. And that was number 9. And number 10 is, if you're only going to be there for a couple of weeks, you probably won't care as much about this, but maybe you will. Where do I get packages? Where can I get packages? Well, the Dollar General, not the Family Dollar, there are 2 dollar stores in Quartzsite. There's a Family Dollar and a Dollar General. It's the Dollar General store has a FedEx little section in there, and you can receive packages, I think, up to 50 or 60 pounds. If there's any question about the size or weight of your package, call them and ask them, because I can't remember exactly what the number is. Also, there's Ironwood Outpost. It's sort of a mail service, and you can go in and talk to them about what they would charge temporarily to get your packages in. And don't make this mistake. U.S. Post Office. There's a nice little post office right on Main Street. Yes, they accept general delivery for your packages and mail. But what you don't know, that you're about to know now, is there's only like an hour, I think an hour and a half time period every day where they will give out general delivery. So when you go, let's say it's from noon to 1 or 1 to 2, when you go at the appointed time, you'll open the door and you'll go, whoops, there's a line that goes all the way twisting around, and I'm going to be here forever, and you will be. So keep that in mind. Post office, the answer is yes, but you're going to wait a long time. So those are my 10 things that I'm going to arm you with if you get excited and come to Quartzsite. And I hope you do, because I want to meet you. I want to meet anyone that watches my channel. And I have met people, and it's just an absolute delight every time. So this is Rob, Travels with Dottie, signing off.